A Coloradan has won his election rigging defamation lawsuit against MyPillow guy Mike Lindell this afternoon. But former Dominion Voting Systems executive Eric Coomer did not win the overwhelming financial victory that he sought over Lindell in order to send a message to other election workers that they would be safe from election rigging accusations. Mike Lindell walked out of the federal courthouse in downtown Denver behind me about an hour ago, proclaiming victory, even after he and his company Frank's Speech were hit with a $2.3 million defamation judgment. Opponents had asked the jury for far more, in excess of $60 million. And Lindell told me that even after he was found liable for defamation, he does not plan to stop with his accusations against Denver-based Dominion Voting Systems and its former executive. Claims that they'd both been involved in the largest crime in history and had committed treason.
Absolutely. What do you think? You would think I'm not going to tell them that they're blocking our elections from getting secure? I will keep up the fight. You know, am I going to say let's melt them down and turn them into prison bars? Yeah, probably.
The plaintiff's attorneys said in their closing that by hitting you with big punitive damages, it would send a message to election workers around the country. The jury chose not to do that. They didn't hit you with any punitive damages. They hit Frank's Speech with some. What do you think the message the jury was trying to send?
The message is that, I know what message that Dominion and Smartmatic and Kumer are trying to send by their last statement was, hey, you need to hit Mike Lindell hard so we don't have people like him speaking out and with disinformation that they're saying is disinformation, right? That was his line. Well, I think the jury said, you know what? Free speech is alive and well in this country.
I asked Mike Lindell if he's got $2.3 million, because after all, time and again in this courthouse behind me, he told the jury that he was broke, that he has spent his whole $50 to $60 million fortune pursuing election rigging claims. And in fact, he says he's now $10 million in the hole. I asked him, you got $2.3 million? And after a bunch of bluster, he acknowledged, no, he doesn't have $2.3 million, but he plans to appeal the decision. The jurors decided that Lindell, crucially, did not conspire with his company MyPillow, which often was involved in promoting some of these claims, but they found not to the standard of civil conspiracy. So his company, his beloved company, is safe from this judgment. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger was in the courtroom with me today, and it's really wild because Mike Lindell lost. He comes out elated. You have folks in the election community who ostensibly were on the winning side today, but a lot of them must feel deflated that they didn't get the big judgment that would keep him from making claims like this against other companies and workers.
I mean, we're not going to hear from the Eric Coomer attorneys on camera, but in the hallway up there, his team was selling this as a victory, that they were excited with the verdict so far. But this decision, as we've noted, is just a fraction of what Eric Coomer's team was seeking. Let's go over the financials of this. The jury found Mike Lindell and his media company, Frank's Speech, liable for defamation, a total of $2.3 million, when Kumer was asking for more than $62 million. I want you to look at the punitive damages part. Punitive damages are to punish the defendant, Lindell, and to serve as an example to others. And Coomer's team asked for $40 million as a message to keep good election workers in the profession. The jury awarded just $300,000. After the verdict, I spoke with Matt Crane of Colorado's County Clerks Association about the message $300,000 sends election workers.
What election officials have had to go through fighting these lies over the last 4.5 years has been something else. It's led to death threats, harassment. One of our pregnant clerks here in Colorado a couple of years ago, her life was threatened along with her unborn child. I can't overstate the impact that these lies have had. So to see only $300,000 come for that part of it is incredibly disappointing and, quite frankly, disturbing.
Eric Coomer only provided a statement following this verdict. It ended with, quote, hopefully Mike Lindell, listening to a jury of his peers, will finally start being honest with his followers. I am now one step closer to putting my life back together, and thank the jury for their thoughtfulness and service. Thoughtfulness is a great word for what this jury did, Kyle, because this is a complicated case. Yeah. And the verdict itself is truly complicated, trying to decipher which claims they said he or the company is liable for and what they aren't and why the punishment is what it is in terms of financials. But as you heard from Matt Crane, if you're trying to send a message to election workers that we've got your back, is what Eric Coomer's attorneys were saying. Hey, we've got your back. We have a victory in court. I don't know that a fraction of what you were seeking is the victory that these election workers need to hear to say, okay, I'm going to come back to that job that I was a little worried about.
Yeah, and as we've talked about since the beginning of this case, Marshall, the reason why this trial is important is because if Mike Lindell is telling the truth, that he has uncovered the biggest crime in history, it would be just that, the biggest crime in history, for which he has never provided solid proof. And on the flip side, if he's not telling the truth, then those election rigging claims are ruining the lives of Coloradans and endangering the lives of Coloradans, and that's why this trial was important to cover.
And it's not the only one. There have been other cases that have been settled from other companies that amplified the same claims, and there's still other trials still yet that we expect. Joe Altman still being sued for the claims he made that played a major role in this case, which started off the election rigging claims. And there are others that are still out there that Eric Coomer has taken a litany of people to court to try to be responsible for things that they said or amplified.
Yeah, I don't know that any amount of money put on a judgment finding Mike Lindell liable for defamation was going to stop him from saying those kinds of things, but $2.3 million is certainly not going to do it. Marshall Zellinger, thank you very much. Appreciate that.